All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to what I believe to be your sound recap number 31. So, this one, as most of them, are going to be a little weird. It's going to be very personal, as are the Chris Allen recaps. I was figuring out whether to make this an opinion video, but because it's mostly centered around me, I was like, it's a Chris Allen recap. But anyway, I wanted to quickly go over how I'm doing. I'm doing okay. I'm still sad. I still don't like my situation. And I don't feel as if I'm okay, but I'm feeling a lot more grounded and a lot more better. And this is kind of going to be a little free thought with some general guidance of where I want to take this. And there's some things I do want to talk about, and then from there, hopefully, I branch out to some more stuff. But in general, the first thing I wanted to say was I'm feeling a lot more grounded. Still sad, but grounded. And we'll go into if that's a good or bad thing and why. But anyway, some of you might be confused about the picture I've chosen for this Chris Allen recap. Usually, when I have no idea of what the theme relates to picture-wise, I usually choose the capybaras. Now, today I chose Dio's The World. Now, why is that? Because this all prompted for me trying to take a step back and kind of analyze, why am I feeling this way? So, whenever I'm upset, as I've said in other Chris Allen recaps, I try to solve the problem. Now, albeit the problems I have are very complicated and I don't think solvable, at least with how I am currently, but nonetheless, I still try and think through them. So, I started trying to take a step back and think, why am I unhappy? Why am I like this? Now, there's a lot of reasons I think that go into this, but we'll center it around the world. So, this is really one thing I find really difficult personally is just trying to get the thoughts in my head that make sense to me out into actual words in real life. Because I don't know if it's like this for anyone else, but the thoughts I have in my head aren't complete thoughts that you could just say. They're kind of ideas that connect together and like make sense to me vaguely thinking about them. But once I try and say them, it gets a little muddied. So I'll try the best that I can here. But essentially, what I'm saying is, and I think it's like this for most people, is once we realize how the world is, and this might be because I'm still young, I'm 23, I'm pretty sheltered. Wait, am I 23? Yeah, I am. I'm almost 24, but not yet. I'm 23, I'm pretty sheltered, so I haven't experienced a lot of life, and that could be both a good thing and a bad thing. A good thing in that I've been shielded from a lot of what life is, which is really sucky. But the bad thing is now that I'm experiencing it, in full force with a full-time job, I'm realizing how sucky it really is. So, essentially, what I'm saying is, I don't like the way the world is. And I think a lot of people, once they figure out how the world is, for most of them, they don't like how it is for them. I don't think you'll go to most people in the world and ask them, hey, do you like the way the world is? And they'll be like, yeah, I like it. I think it's pretty good. Obviously, maybe for the moment, it's good for them specifically, but I'm talking more broad term. I'm talking how the world is and operates in general, and more specifically, how it operates like people, society, especially Western capitalistic society, and just what we value. I do not like the world we live in. So, what do I do next thinking wise? Thinking wise, next, what I go into is okay, I don't like the world. So, what are the options I have? What can I do? And I thought up of, some different options. The first of which is probably the easiest to think of is do nothing. So if you do nothing and you just see the world how it is, you're going to get sad, you're going to get miserable. And the second thing you could do is you could change it. Now, maybe changing it is hard, maybe changing it is impossible. But that's the alternative to just seeing how the world is, disliking it, and then just going along with your day. A lot of people probably see the world how it is, don't like it, but just accept it, or even if they don't accept it, they don't really do anything about it. And I feel like that's the kind of boat I'm in, and we'll keep going further down the rabbit hole here, but in general, those are the two options I feel people have. They realize how the world is, they either like it and do nothing, or they don't like it and do nothing still, or they do something about it. Whatever they can. And even if they can't do anything, they at least try to do something. Which I believe, to a certain extent, some people do. It's not like, oh, people do nothing. I think it's a mix and match of some people do a couple things that not won't necessarily change the world, but will change their little bubble of the world. But in essence, let's go deeper. You know what? Let's forget about that. Let's go deeper. So, you can either do nothing, accept it, or just be fine with how it is. So, once you try and change it, you can either succeed or fail. And this kind of goes more deeper into my situation. So, I don't think I could change the world. I barely think I could change most things in my life, regardless of if I actually can or not. I don't think I can. So that's where I'm currently at. Now, you're then left with more options. Okay, you don't think you could change the world, which is kind of the boat I'm in. So what do you do now? You either keep going until you find a way you can change it, try and improve yourself to change it, or change your thinking or perspective on the world and try and be happy with what it is. The last part's really hard, but it's kind of what I've been trying to do to try and calm myself down and make it so I can actually get through my days without having a really sad or nervous breakdown, as I've been having. And what do I mean by this? So, what I mean by this is like, I try and see things now in a positive light instead of a negative one. I don't know how much success I'm having, and I'm really scared for the future if I keep doing this, because I feel like this also has the negative of you might get used to doing less or get really complacent in a situation you could get out of. It's sort of almost like accepting a bad situation because you either don't want to or can't do anything else. So what do I mean by this? So usually, let's look at my situation that's making me sad. I am decently young, but I would say not that young. I have a pretty shitty job, but not that shitty. And I'm in a really precarious situation for the future, but at least a decent one for now. So you could see I kind of mixed and matched there of how I viewed my own situation. A lot of the time, whether even if it's good or not, I don't think it could be objective. I think everything in what I'm going to say now is subjective in terms of like you could think it's good or bad because there's not really a baseline of how things are supposed to be in the scenarios I'm about to say. But when I do anything or whenever something happens in my life, unless it's the exact thing I wanted, which is the way I want the world to be, which is super unrealistic, I think, for everyone, unless you're super realistic with how you believe things should be. I have a super unrealistic expectation for the world. And if something happens, or if my situation, or if I get into any situation where it's not the situation I want to be in, it makes me unhappy, and I don't think it's good. And that's the important part. So look at my situation before. During COVID, when we were getting that Joey B money, the fat Joey B checks, I counted that situation as bad. It was good for me monetarily, you know, Joey B gave me that fat stack, but I counted as okay, I'm wasting my time, I'm playing games, I'm having fun, which can also be looked at as a good thing. I viewed it as a bad thing. I viewed it as like, okay, for a year and a half, I basically did nothing. I wasted my time. I played games. Yeah, I had fun and almost a little stressed, which is what I want my entire life to be. Although there were times where I was sad then, but overall, I wasted a lot of my time. And now, my situation monetarily has basically improved because now I'm making money every week, but the way I view it now is I'm stuck in almost a dead-end job that I have no clue if I'll get, you know, any decent or good promotion. And in my mind, in one of my ideal worlds, I would want to make a lot of money, you know, 50K or more, because I feel like with a degree, even a shitty degree, as long as you have a bachelor's, you should at least make some, you know, sort of livable income, at least in New York. But I don't. So I feel like even though my other people might see my situation, and I'll try and go over it in a positive way too, the way a person can view it positively. I view a lot of my situations as negative purely because they're not what I wanted. So again, I'm in a shitty job that pays 16 an hour, which is basically nothing. Doing nothing, feeling unfulfilled, and feeling trapped and miserable. Now, looking at this positively, let's look at this. For a whole year and a half, I got paid to have fun. And I got paid to have almost true freedom, I would say. True freedom to do whatever I want. Now, the negative side of me is saying you wasted your time. A positive outlook that I'm trying to adopt is I had fun for a whole year. And a big thing I'm trying to think of is life is very unpredictable. And this kind of goes into determinism of, are you really in control of your actions and what happens in life? Because to a certain extent, there is a degree of variability. There is a degree of what happens in life might just fuck you no matter what you do. We'll never know, and that's the whole issue. So let's say this. You could have a person who's like a genius, can be super well off, can do a lot of great things for the world, and the world could just fuck him by putting him on like an isolated island, born to a tribe that will have no contact with the outside world. This person could theoretically, if he's like, born this smart, solve a lot of the world's problems if he was just lucky and life didn't fuck him. Now, I say life, fucking him is subjective. That's subjective because depending on how he sees it, it's subjective. Basically, if you're happy, right, and you're content, and your view of how you want the world to be versus how it actually is pretty close to the land, I would say that's good. I would say life isn't fucking you. But the problem comes down to what's your view of what you want the world to be versus what is it actually, and do you like what it actually is, and how close is it to what you want it to be. It's a little complicated, the thoughts I'm saying, and I'm trying to get a lot of thoughts out at once, but hopefully you're still following. So, because I'm kind of getting lost where I'm going to. I have no clue where I'm at right now. But in essence, right, let's look at a positive outlook of the job. So the negative outlook I have now is I'm wasting my time in a job that pays me nothing, but I have nowhere else to go and no real skills to provide to anywhere else to really make a lot of money. And I feel like other people are either in high-paying positions, sometimes because of luck, sometimes because of skill. But I don't think I'll have either, so I feel like I'm just fucked. That's my negative outlook. Here's my positive outlook. I'm going to a job where I'm almost basically paid to sit around and do next to nothing with very little work. Any work I actually get is handleable, it's easy. Yeah, I'm not being paid a lot, but I'm being paid something for almost basically doing nothing with decent coworkers, and I basically am just chilling. I'm chilling in a job that is very low effort, low stress. It's just a little far, but it's giving me something to do, and it's giving more of my free time value, because then I want to do what I want to do on my free time, and because I have less of it, I value it more. That's the positive outlook I'm trying to have. It's helping a little bit, but the problem I have with my mind is my mind always, and I hate it because of this, goes to the negative. It goes always to the negative outlook, and I don't know if it's because I'm like spoiled or whatever, or if I'm just really upset that the world is not how I want it to be. Which, unless you put work in, and even if you do put work in, could still never end out even close to how you want it to be. And that upsets me. I don't know. And then the question becomes, will the world, once you work for it and you try and get it closer to what you want it to be, will it actually be something you like? Because a lot of people go through life thinking they want things the way they want them, and then once they get what they think they want, they realize, hey, I don't want it, or hey, it's not how I thought it was going to be. And more specifically, I'm talking about streaming here, because, that's always a hot topic with me and my friends. It always goes into the question of, hey, do this, this, and this to become popular in streaming, or at least have a shot at it. But I always want to become popular streaming in my own way, which, looking at it realistically, probably won't happen. But do I want it to happen any other way? And I've already talked about this, so I won't go too far into it, but then it becomes a question of, Do I swallow what I want to do and how I want to become famous and get famous and then just try and do and go back to doing what I want to do and hopefully retain an audience like that? I don't know. But again, I have a lot of negative outlooks on things. So basically, to try and rein this all in, I feel like my view of the world and how the world actually is really shook me to my core because I really don't like it. I feel like it's very negative. It's very like, at least, in the time we are now and just how society works. I mean, things are getting better, we'd hope. But overall, I'm still really scared about how things are going because I just don't see things going up. But again, I'm trying to adopt a way healthier, calmer, less stressful view of things of like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. But then it goes into the question for me of, am I just trying to view the world in a way to like just get past things? And I'm really trying to see if I'm phrasing this correctly because it becomes a question of, am I trying to delude myself? Am I trying to make things seem better than they actually are? I don't know. Because this goes into a lot of subjectivity of like, what do you want in life? Because let's say this. Let's say a lot of people just wanted a nice warm meal 3 times a day, a house over their heads, and some entertainment and some social life. I feel like everyone at a certain baseline wants that, but the problem is once we get that, we want more. And for me specifically, again, if I don't have specific things, and I don't know if I want a lot, and I don't even know if I'm ready to reveal all of them or even if I understand all of what I want. Because again, once you get what you want, sometimes you realize you never really wanted it. Because I feel like this was me settling, but I always said I wanted this type of job. I wanted a job that didn't really pay too much. Well, I never wanted that, but I was settling. I said I would be happy at a certain baseline and settle for the job I have now, which is doing nothing, very little importance. I do nothing all day. I come home and that's it. And I'm not happy with that. I'm not too sad about it anymore because at least I'm doing something and hopefully it's, progressing me a little bit into my future. Like maybe it's getting good experience so I could end up somewhere else, but I'm trying to adopt basically a better view of things, more positive, and I'm learning to just try and let go, not think for a little bit, let the world take the reins, and believe in something I really don't want to believe in. And just that if the world wants it to happen, maybe it'll happen. Maybe I'll get lucky. If the world wants it, maybe they'll give it to me. I leave it out of my hands. And that is a hard thing to do because, well, first of all, I feel like if I leave anything in my hands, it's going to go really, really wrong, and I'm going to ruin it or not be able to do it. But in general, I feel like because I don't know, I'm just saying a lot of contradictions of like, despite saying I feel like it's in my hands, I don't do anything. So it's like, what's really in my fucking hands, right? But anyway, we'll leave it here before we go on too many tangents and make this too crazy. I could go on for stuff like this for hours, but I don't really know how interesting it is. But I just wanted to bring some of my jumbled thoughts out there to try and make some sense of them. Hopefully they make sense to someone else. I'm not sure, but I'm doing a little bit better, especially going into the next week of work, which I'm not looking forward to, but I'm not dreading that badly yet. I mean, as the night goes on longer, maybe I'll dread it a little bit more, but we'll see. But so far, I'm not feeling too bad because I'm just thinking like, okay, I'm going to go to work. The coworkers are okay. I'm mostly just going to go on my phone and do very little work. Hopefully the day's busy. If it's busy, it might go by a little bit more. I don't think I could really mess it up anymore because there's not much to mess up and my supervisor's right there. I'm trying to say things that are calming and maybe a little bit more realistic because, again, I often find myself thinking way too negatively and I wear myself out. My biggest enemy is always myself. But anyway, again, I hope someone found this interesting or helpful for this situation. And I could go on way further with a lot more stuff because this always opens up more branches. But we'll leave it here. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're having a great day, a better day than I am. And I don't know. We'll see when I do something else like this. I don't want to do too many Chris on recaps about the same shit, but there's not really much else to talk about. So that'll be it.